According to Jeff Sanders of the San Diego Union Tribune, I believe he had this first. Ethan Salas, Robbie Snelling, Graham Pauley, Jacob Marcy, and Nathan Martorella, they have all been promoted to Double A, San Antonio, the San Antonio Missions. And I believe they're going to be headed to the postseason this year. So their season's going to end up being longer than Fort Wayne. So maybe that's why you're seeing someone like Ethan Salas be promoted, some of these other guys be promoted. They probably have to be ready. Now, you could maybe make the argument Salas isn't ready, but I think that the Padres want to have a lot of their core big prospects come up together and play together. And that's going to be their main message to Padres fans. Now, whether or not we decide to believe that, that's up to every individual Padres fan, right? But it does make sense that the Padres would try to spin this as, yeah, we're promoting these players so that they can play together and learn how to win together, even though I don't totally buy that because there have been times in the Padres history, right, where you bring up players all at the same time, and how did that work out? Not great. But maybe this is going to end up being different because the Padres can have Salas and Snelling, and now Jackson Merrill, he's in Double A as well. He was recently promoted before these guys were. Have all of these guys, Snelling, Salas, Marcy, Paulie, Martorella, Merrill. I'm forgetting, I think Iniarte's there as well. Maybe Lizarraga's there. I forget if he's there. Have them all together and build that chemistry. And maybe it ends up working out. And you hope that this time around, AJ will be able to keep most of those guys instead of feeling the need to trade those guys before they come up to the big leagues and we get to see how they can actually perform with the Padres at the big league level. He keeps this core together, and maybe they end up winning together throughout the minor leagues and at the big league level. And this can turn into sort of like a Houston Astros thing, or, obviously the Cubs get brought up, right? The Braves have a lot of guys like that where it's not like they just brought them in. There's some key players that they brought in, but there's a lot of homegrown guys. You look at the Astros and you point to the starting pitching. You point to Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve and Springer when he was there, Correa when he was there. A lot of talent that came up and stayed at the big league level there. And maybe that's what the Padres are trying to do here. And maybe we'll see the results of that at the big league level in a couple years, in a few years. That's down the road. And I think most fans care more about what's happening right now at the big league level, and that's understandable. But that was the news of the day yesterday because there obviously was no Padres game, and it was definitely interesting. Ethan Salas, he's 17 years old, and he has already been promoted twice. And I'm not actually 3 times, I guess, technically, from rookie ball to Lake Elsinore, from Lake Elsinore to Fort Wayne to San Antonio now, all in this same season. Remember, he was in the Padres clubhouse, and there were questions about where he was going to start, and then he ended up not starting at Lake Elsinore, and then he went to Lake Elsinore. I think he won Player of the Month there for the Cal League, and then he went to Fort Wayne, and he played 9 games there. It's not like he was dominant in Fort Wayne. So my question, and I put this out on social media yesterday, my question was, what was the point of having Ethan Salas play with Fort Wayne if he was only going to play there for less than 10 games? What was the point of that? Because he clearly never got comfortable there. It's 9 games, and some of those games were on the road. They weren't even at the home ballpark for Fort Wayne. It was that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And Salas, he had 35 at-bats there with the Tin Caps, a 472 OPS, which was well below the OPS that he had with Lake Elsinore this season, 837. That's a big gap there. And so is Salas ready for Double A? I think that's a valid question. I mean, he is 17, and Double A usually is the best level of minor league talent. I know Triple A is the higher level, but in terms of the best prospects in all of Major League Baseball, I should say minor league baseball, the best prospects are playing in Double A because sometimes, I feel like most of the time, they get most of their work in at Double A, and then they either just go right to the big leagues the next year and they don't even play in Triple A, like Tatis did, right? He never played for El Paso, or they start at AAA for like the service time thing at the beginning of the next season, and then they go up. Like Double A is really where they like tell their teams, okay, I am ready to do this. And Salas, this isn't something I want to make this clear. This is not something where he's going to be called up this season. I don't think he's going to get called up next season either. Jim Callis, who was on the show last week, was saying that he could be ready to go by 19 years old. Well, he's 17 now. So are they going to have Salas play this year and all of next year at Double A and then bring him up? Are they going to have him do this year, next year at Double A, or this year, part of next year at Double A, and then the at the end of next season have him play with Triple A and then bring him up? I don't know. I just don't want to. I really just don't want to have Ethan Salas be rushed up. But at the same time, like if he was showing that he was ready to move up from Lake Elsinore, why not put him at Double A? And I don't follow the minor leagues super closely because I'm following the big league team every day. But is there a huge gap between high A and Double A? Maybe the Padres think that it's not that huge of a gap. Maybe we should just bring him up to Double A. And why the heck did we even have him in high A with Fort Wayne? So I'm going to be very interested to see how Salas does the rest of this season, and then next season, I'd be surprised if he's not at Double A to start next season, or maybe he goes down to high A if he struggles. But I mean, struggling is part of the game, right? Every player does struggle at some point, so maybe this is something that the Padres are like, we want him to be challenged here. Sure, he's only 17, but he's a very mature 17-year-old from everything that we've seen. Let's go challenge this guy. And let's see how he deals with the struggles. Let's have him get familiar with some of the pitching at the Double A level, the pitching that he will probably be catching at the big leagues, hopefully at some point. Let's give him this challenge and we'll see how it works out. AJ, he has a history of trying to push these guys at the minor league level and maybe giving them challenges earlier than some other GMs would. And maybe that's a flaw of AJ's, but hey, he watches these guys more than we do. He knows more about these guys than I do for sure. And AJ at heart, I think he's a good scout at heart. Now, the other things we can definitely question, right? But him bringing guys up like this, I just feel like he views it as a positive, obviously, giving them that challenge and seeing how they do. And they can always get sent down if they don't do well or if Salas isn't ready, for example. But I think a part of this, again, is having those guys play together. I think the Baltimore Orioles, if I'm not mistaken, they did play together as well. Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman. Um, who else did they bring up? Well, and I know right now, Kierstad and I think Cowser, they're playing together. So maybe there is something to that. But there have been situations, including with the Padres, where you have Margot and you have Renfro and you have Hedges and was it a Suaje that was in that group? And Lauer, Lucchese, they play together, they come up to the big leagues and it doesn't work out, right? So there's always that risk, but I feel like there's higher ceilings with these players. But I don't know. I was hearing a lot of chatter about Margot and Renfro, and those guys when they were coming up. And this is the same thing here. So it's definitely not a guarantee, but it's certainly interesting.